If you weaponize what I'm about to teach you, then that's on you, my friend. That is truly on you, because in today's podcast episode, by the end of it, you will learn 3 simple steps for influencing anybody with integrity. Keywords: with integrity. So without further wait, let's get into it. Now, where do we begin? Well, let me set the scene for you, my friend. Let me set the scene for you. And the best way to do that is by reading you a snippet of my upcoming book, Relationship Currency. Let's get into it. Remember Albert Bandura's social learning theory, SLT, that we touched upon inside of Habit 2? In his 1977 book, Social Learning Theory, Bandura explains most human behavior is learned observationally through modeling. For example, from observing others, one forms an idea of how new behaviors are performed. And on later occasions, this coded information serves as a guide for action. Ultimately, Bandura's theory suggests that observation and modeling play a primary role in how and why humans learn. While not all observed behaviors are effectively learned, attention, retention, motor reproduction, and motivation are essential for one to benefit from social learning practices. On the surface, this sounds intuitive, right? But here's the $1 million question. Why do we lean on verbal commands as the primary path for igniting change in others? In my case with my daughter, she does what I do, not what I say. Here's a case in point. To break character, what I then do is I share a story about my daughter, about how she mimicked certain behaviors of mine, which were designed to increase the vitality running through my veins as a dad and really focusing on my health. But she mimicked it. She didn't do what I told her to do. She did what I did. And the moral of that story that I share inside of the book is that for the rest of my life with both of my children, my job isn't to tell them what to do, it's to show them who to be. That is going to create the biggest change. My actions will be the most potent, not my words. And when I do use my words, I've got to ensure there's congruency. Otherwise, the conviction in my words will be lower, and they'll be like, Dad, you don't do the very thing you're telling me to do. I'm not going to do that. Right. And as leaders, it can be the same for your team. It can be the same for your team. Meaning, if you want to ignite behavioral change in others, if you want to influence others, are you embodying the change that you wish to see? Or are you just barking orders? And are you expecting your superiority to simply do the talking? Not going to work, my friend. From my experience, that is not going to work. In the long term, anyway. And hey, you're here because you want long-lasting change, do you not? So allow me to introduce you to my 3 steps for silent influence to ensure that you can embody the change that you wish to see in others. Step 1, acknowledge the behavior you wish to see in others. Step 2, choose your vehicle for impact. Step 3, reinforce this behavior at scale. Let's walk through an example, because you're probably like, what is he talking about? Step 1, acknowledge the behavior that you wish to see in others. So, for example, let's say you're a leader who wants your team to be more vulnerable with one another. Now, you could bark orders and say, hey, guys, one of our values is vulnerability. So be more vulnerable. They're like, yeah, okay, roll their eyes. Or you could do something different, which leads to step 2, which is choosing your vehicle for impact. Now, there's several ways you could embody the change you wish to see. But for me, the most potent way would be through storytelling, meaning sharing vulnerable stories at every opportunity. Not all the time, at the right and appropriate opportunities, breaking the mask, sharing that vulnerable story, and giving others in your team the permission to do the same. And then step 3 is reinforcing the behavior at scale. And it doesn't have to be crazy. It could be simply recognizing somebody, acknowledging somebody in your team in public for embodying the change you wish to see, meaning being vulnerable with one another, exchanging vulnerable stories. And as a result, you're rewarding that behavior through a genuine compliment. Now, I talk about this inside of my book, but research has shown that when somebody receives a genuine compliment, it actually activates the same part of our brain that lights up when we receive a financial reward. So don't underplay the potency of an impactful and genuine compliment. It sounds simple, but it's difficult because it first requires you to take a look at the person in the mirror. It requires you to do the inner work to make that dream work. Step 1 is, yes, acknowledging what behavior you truly want others to embody. But more importantly, it's about looking in the mirror and saying, am I embodying the change I wish to see in others? Am I in integrity with my spoken word? And am I leading with my actions or just barking orders? It requires you to look within. And that's uncomfortable, my friend. It's uncomfortable. But this is my truth. If you want to create true behavioral change, it starts with you. It doesn't start with barking orders externally. It starts by being real with yourself and saying, hey, where am I falling short? Where am I falling short? Being kind to yourself and saying, okay, here's the facts, here's the reality, but let's make change. And making change through your behavior and allowing that silent influence like osmosis to just spread across your organization. And over time, you'll become a symbol for others as to what's possible when you truly are congruent with your spoken word and when you operate like a trusted guide. For me, that is one of the most impactful ways to influence others, by showing them who to be versus telling them what to do. If you connected with this and you're like, listen, I want to read more of this book, then hey, head on down to the link in the description where you can pre-order your copy of Relationship Currency for the release date of 4th of November. And hey, if you enjoyed today's episode, connect with me on LinkedIn. It's probably where I'm most active these days. Drop me a DM and let me know what you connected with the most. I promise you I'll personally come back with a reply. Anyway, my friend, I'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Peace.